who owns the land has the power to decide who is and who will be housed.
This is a poem I wrote after hearing a story about a man who committed suicide after losing 9 million in assets but still having 3 million left in the bank. The rich king stands above all. Tarnished crown on brow, round and feeling concrete. Below, rushing ants. Below, a solid end. Even now, certainty awaits. When nothing else is left, I have no gracious future. The rich king steps forward. Cold, refreshing hand of wind, familiar sensations flows around. Comforting feeling all will come to an end. To fall to no temporary, while others cling to its only rush, the only feeling of living it provides. I have fallen eternal. The rich king arrives. Empty pockets thrown open, life escaping this world around. Left as entered, bow out in defeat. Peaceful. Not me, not you. We will never reach such heights, and yet we fall forever further, and I have to carry on.
I hope my children look back on today and see a mother who had time to pray. There will never be a better time to pray for change. I hope my children remember I had the courage to speak out. I'm sure they have voices of their own, but the things that make me sad, they probably won't voice for themselves until they're my age. Having time to reflect on a lifetime spent hoping for change and seeing none. I hope my children are able to look back and see change. I never imagined that I would be living in an era where the poor are marginalised, targeted for political gain, where the homeless are swept up from the streets to make way for a royal parade, the invisible faces in the crowd, the great unwashed, photoshopped out of the picture. I never envisaged my grandchildren living in a world where food banks, eco shops are the norm, where their basic needs are met. The basic needs for food, warmth and shelter have to be supplied by local charities. Their mothers working 2 jobs to keep afloat on an ocean of rising costs. This should not be. This should not be. I hope my children look back on today and see local authorities written in the history books of tomorrow. I hope they see local councils who raised a battle cry loud enough to be heard by those with power for change. Let us not return full circle to the post-war years of austerity. Let us keep the home fires burning in our hearts. Let's keep hope alive while we yearn for change.
What is the solution for future of poverty? In my own opinion, for the way to treat future of poverty is to get some sense of belonging in the family, in the community, and in the areas where we live. Let us be able to love one another by giving helping hands to others and welcome hands open to the visitors in our own environment and in our own communities, to avoid war and good policies by the government that will alleviate the suffering of the people. Also, be receptive to the victims of poverty. Remember, it is said in the Bible that love your neighbors as yourself. That is Matthew 22, verse 39. Let us learn how to move forward in life with love. Live and let others live. Thank you.
Until you know the steam press crush when a basic wage evaporates in the face of rising prices, you will never understand the gnawing desperation of hopelessness at the cries of hungry children and an empty larder. Until you know the lonely isolation of domestic violence, the emotional battery that produces helplessness, stretching on endlessly, you will never understand how the will to react is extinguished in a prison without bars. Until you know the searing pain of social rejection that renders you powerless, that robs you of dignity, that creates of you a non-person. You will never understand how circumstances beyond your control immobilise and close the door behind you. Unless you know, you will never understand why downtrodden people must band together to minister, to share, to work as one, to bypass the systems that keep us down, that deny our dignity, to provide for ourselves the means of life, nourishment, clothing, shelter, entertainment, dignity, care. It's all there. If we could only just join the dots